we call them our families. Calling them our families is just the truth. They feel like our family members. When you show up at their house and you sit with them and there's no other purpose except to just talk, getting to know what their real needs are, learning how to be good listeners.
Family visits are probably one of the most important things that we do. You don't come to Flourishing Future and ask for help, fill out an application, and then either get approved or rejected. If you come to us needing help, or if we hear about a family that needs help, we go and visit them. We want to begin a relationship with them as soon as possible so that they can know that we care about them and that we have their best interest in mind. By building that relationship, eventually we can give them something even better than food or clothing or an education. We can give them advice, and we can begin to speak into their lives to help them learn how to get out of that survival mode that they've been in and get into a hope mode where they can begin to see a future that doesn't look as bleak.
It's sometimes quite difficult to get involved in people's lives. It's messy. It's not a clean ministry. And many times people go up and down, and the goal is to walk with them through that as many times as it takes until they're on a steady up cycle. At that point, we would start to give them more responsibility, get them involved in the community more. But it doesn't happen overnight. Many times it feels like it's failed. We have learned over the years, instead of pulling out at that time and saying, we tried to help you and you didn't change, instead to draw closer, to stand by them until they can come out for good. Mongolian culture is to be very strong up front. And so you could meet a woman who's trying to act like everything's okay, but you're looking around her gear, it's a complete mess, the kids are a mess, and you know that it's not okay. I have just looked a woman in the eye, even reached out and held her hand and said, listen, I just want to tell you, it's okay to cry. It's okay that you feel weak and that things feel like they're falling apart right now. And I want you to know you're not alone. Every time this kind of hard, tough, hardened face will just break down. In this culture, they don't talk about their feelings. They don't have anyone to share their problems with. And they'll just open up. Just a good half an hour of crying and talking. And oftentimes I can end that with just an encouragement by praying with them and letting them know, okay, you're not alone anymore. You don't have to hold on to this all by yourself. There are people that are going to walk you through it. A lot of times the stories that people tell us when we first meet them aren't the true story, and it takes some time to get to know them and find out what the true story is, what brought them to the place of poverty that they're at. And once they start to get to know us, they trust us to tell us those true stories. The family visits were a difficult hurdle for me to overcome because working on the mission field, you look for things to be excited about. You're happy when there's a success story. I have learned that many times the success story doesn't come for a long, long time. You have to be willing to quit looking for the result, leave the result to God, and just be more a part of the process. I'm showing up every week just to tell you I love you, just to hear about your day.
Most of the needs that we find outside of food are heat and winter. Medical needs are always a big part, especially if you're one of the suffering poor. If you're not getting the nutrition that you needed, now you're probably also having health problems. Health problems then make it to where it's more difficult for you to find a job, even if it's a temporary job. And so you begin this cycle of going down that's hard to get out of. What we don't want to do is come in and fix everything. What we want to do is come in, give them one of those things that they need, and let them begin to work on the next one themselves. If we just came in and just fixed everything for them, they would then become dependent on us, and that is not what we want at all. We really want them to be able to do this themselves.
Usually it's not for about 3 months after we get to know them before we will really start to talk about our faith. And the reason for that is we don't want Christianity connected to the food so that they feel like they have to believe what we say in order to receive their food or friendship. That is the entire Flourishing Future staff that gets involved. And one day, one of our staff members might visit. The next week, it will be another staff member. And after a while, they feel like our family members. These are humans, and every family has individual needs and a different way to communicate with them. We're seeing the staff take complete ownership of the ministry.
There's cultural things that we don't understand. There's inflections in the voice, body language, things that the Mongolians can pick up on and really then be able to explain to us later their perspective and hopefully come up with a workable solution.
I think she's a really hardworking lady. It was really hard for her. We needed to call ambulance many times during the night, and we have been running a lot, and also needed to go to the pharmacy a lot. But
we will give them food even if they don't come to the Bible studies. That takes the entire staff, not just Troy or Sherry. That is the entire Flourishing Future staff that gets involved.
The whole idea is to build relationships, and I think that's very much a part of how the kingdom is supposed to work.
We call them our families. Calling them our families is just the truth. They feel like our family members.
A lot of times with them being in survival mode, they don't even know what they really need. They just want something. And so we give them that something, we give them hope.